This is the M5Yo, a Tier 10 American tech tree heavy tank, a vehicle that honestly looks really weird. I'm a big fan of the design. This kind of reminds me of a vehicle where, like, back in the 1940s, designers and, tank builders would create visions of what they thought the future would look like, and they'd always make these weird, elongated tank designs, and this is kind of what I feel those designs kind of reminisce of. I really like this vehicle. I think it looks awesome, and I think it's got a really cool playstyle. And in today's video, I'm going to be showcasing some Ace Tanker gameplay, and why I actually think this is an incredibly solid and almost underrated tank. Let's start off by talking about this vehicle's capabilities, and we got to do that by making our way down to the back of this vehicle's tracks. We can see that inside of this track is another smaller track, and this is called the reserve track. And the way this works is very simple. Essentially, if you get tracked in this tank, you can still drive with the reserve track on the back of this vehicle, and it has to have both reserve tracks broken to stop the tank. It's honestly pretty cool, and it means that you're never ever going to lock this vehicle down. If you shoot it into the track wheel, essentially it's still going to be able to back up, get into cover. You are a bit slower, but it's still really nice to be able to back up, especially if you have an autoloader shooting at you. It's just a really solid capability in general. Now, the Yo features two different guns. It has a higher alpha 120mm with 440 damage a shot. It's got less DPM, less accuracy, worse aiming time. It's honestly worse in every way. Even the standard pen and premium pen is worse. And yeah, if the premium pen wasn't awful, I'd think about running it, but holy, 300 mils of heat at tier 10? That might be the worst heat pen in the game for a tier 10. That's pretty bad. So I would much rather run the 105mm that this vehicle features. First of all, it's just a better gun in every way. It's got better dispersion, better aiming time, but it's also got way better DPM and 15 more mils of pen. So I just don't see much of a reason to run the 120 when you literally have a better 105mm. And as we can see, when you get this gun fully kitted out, it's pretty dangerous. It's got less than 2 seconds of aiming time, 0.3 dispersion, and 3,400 DPM with a simple bounty rammer. You could get that DPM even higher if you wanted to run something like an orderly ammo rack paired to the bond rammer, probably close to 3,600 damage per minute. However, I don't think that's absolutely necessary, so this is what we're sticking with. I honestly think this tank looks so cool. So let's get into some gameplay and see what the tank can actually do. We arrive on Cliff, which is a pretty solid map for the Yo. This vehicle features 10 degrees of gun depression, and it's also got a fairly solid armor profile. It does have a lot of weaknesses. The biggest one is that it's got a very elongated turret, and what that means is that when you're aiming at your opponents, it's very easy to have somebody else on your side, to the left or to the right, easily cutting through the side of your turret, which is a big weakness. The vehicle also has a very poor hull, which can be absolutely buttered through if you do expose it, and because it's this bubbly design, it's very easy to cut through and honestly see even when you're trying to use gun depression. The things I really like about this tank is that it's quite mobile. We can see that here. I've got a top speed of 40 with my build, and we instantly get up to 40. It's got a really solid power to weight. It feels almost like a T-77, which is honestly just fantastic. So starting off, we get a super high roll of 450 into the enemy Sharfie Chair 4, and that player just gets absolutely obliterated. I don't know what that player was thinking. They didn't have a camo, so I'm not that surprised, but yeah, pretty disappointing to watch that play. I mean, I'm not going to complain. That's a free dub for us. I'm going to start shooting at the AMX 5120, and this is obviously where having the great level of DPM we have on this tank is going to be amazing. So we're already up to 1,100 damage just the few first moments of this game. We get another shell out, just able to squeeze it into the enemy 50 TP, and that is 1,450 damage dealt. Okay, that's not a bad start at all. We also see that there is a Conqueror that has gotten spotted on the hill, and while it's not the Super Conch, that is still a very dangerous vehicle due to its fantastic DPM, great penetration, and most notably solid hull down capabilities. So I've got to be careful here. I don't want to put myself in a position where that Conqueror is able to farm me. And I also don't want to put myself in a position where the STB, which just got spotted to our side, is able to shoot me as well. But we get one free shot right into that Conch turret, and we get a second shell into the Conqueror turret. Nice. Okay, that's 700 HP we've been able to take off of his tank. That STB did not realize that I have such a fast reload. We bonk him as well. Just like that, we are already just shy of 3,000 damage. It just shows you how quick you can get out, you know, any crazy bonks of damage, even with a vehicle like the Yo that only has about 360 damage per shot. We get another shell into the Conqueror. Unfortunately, it low rolled, but I'll take it. We're over 3,000 at this point, which is a pretty solid result. Now I'm going to make my way over towards the medium flank, because I see our team struggling a bit there. I want to get past this 777. There we go. Nice. As I said, this vehicle's got really good mobility, so because of that, I'm just going to use that good old top speed, make my way over here. I see a pretty healthy 430 in front, and that 430 is not going to be expecting me. I'm going to load standard ammo. I don't think we need gold rounds. I was a little worried about the Skoda T50, but because he's not there, we're going to get one shell right into the back of the Object 430. And again, this thing has such a fast reload that we already have another shell loaded in the barrel. I thought this 430 was going to back up. Instead, he decided that he was going to YOLO me, so I get a nice finishing shell right into his tank. Now we're at 4,000 damage, and this has been a pretty easy juicer of damage so far. Alright, well, we got the Skoda T50 in front. We get a nice shell for 368, and we're going to keep on pushing the Skoda here. I'm a little worried about tanks sitting in the back, and there you go. We do get a bounce from the Leopard, but I don't think it's that big of an issue. We already know where their Yag is, and the T30 has also been spotted down low, so I don't think I really need to have too much of a worry at all about getting bonked by any of those players there. Instead, what we're going to do is push up top here, and see if we can get some bleeds out into the 75 and the STB-1. There's the 75. Nice 344 damage shell into his vehicle, bringing us over 5,000 damage at this point. We get a nice shell into the back of the STB, and we also have that Leopard that we finally found sitting all the way in the back. There you go. Easy shell into the Leopard 1. And, well, we got a couple options. We can either shoot at the Leopard or the STB. I'm going to shoot the STB. That's a nice 6,000 damage we've dealt now. And maybe we can hit the Leopard with a blind shot. I highly doubt that hit, but hey, you never know. I would have expected us to kill him, though. Alright, well, we've got 780 assistance. Leopard shoots me, but I could really care less, because at this point, I want to see if I can get any more damage out. This could be a really, really good game if I'm able to farm. And look at that, a full health 777 is spotted right in front of me. So we get one shell into his vehicle. I'm trying to just sit in front of him and get out as much damage as possible. Unfortunately, our Yag Tiger is behind him, and because of that, it's making it very hard to get a lot of HP off of this guy. But hey, we still got 4 shells into his tank, or actually no, it's 3 shells into his tank, but I'll take it. Not too bad. We only have 4 standard shells left, but we still have plenty of heat, so we're going to dip right over to our heat ammunition. We've dealt 7,200 damage at this point. Now, I do get a little bit damage hungry here. I see the Ag, I see the mouse, and oh boy, the T-30 gets spotted right in the back and nails us in the hull. That is really disappointing, because if I hadn't have been hit by the T-30, I would have played a bit more aggressive. That was just a bad shot from me there. I will admit that. I snapped the shell instead of actually aiming in, but we're up to 7,500 damage, which is pretty nice. We're aiming on the mouse. I wait for his turret to turn. Unfortunately, the 315 mils a pen just isn't really enough on this vehicle. However, we still get a nice shell into the mouse, up to 7,900 damage. We get a damaged ammo rack, but that's alright. We get a nice shell into the T-30, who looked like he was trying to get the clear on me, and there you go. 8,209 damage and 1,100 assistance. That is 9,300 combined. Unsurprisingly, 8,000 damage was indeed enough to get ourselves an ace tanker, and not only that, but finish double the next highest on our team. This is a really good example of where the Yo is just able to use that raw DPM, the great mobility and flexibility of the tank itself, and just get out an insane amount of damage. I had a lot of fun in this game, and honestly, I was kind of struggling to figure out this vehicle's playstyle. That was only my 4th battle in the tank, and I definitely plan on playing more. This is one of those vehicles that you have to get used to really figure out its playstyle. And I'm getting there. Definitely is a weird one because of the fact that it's got super low alpha. Basically, every other heavy outtrades you. It's one of those awkward situations where if you do get penned, it's going to hit a lot harder than what you're hitting them back for, so you got to take advantage of that. You got to make sure you're hiding your hatch. But I do find this tank to be really enjoyable when it does pop off. The first game you witnessed was absolutely amazing for the Yo. Showcased where the vehicle is able to farm in its prime Goldilocks position. But now, we're going to break into a battle where the Yo really doesn't do well. I'm still going to do a pretty solid result from a little bit of skill after realizing, okay, maybe that wasn't the right play for this tank. That's one of the things I always love about playing a different vehicle that I haven't messed around with, is figuring out its playstyle, what it's good at, what it's bad at. If I was running the 120 mil, probably could have done a bit better early game in this battle, but the 105 mil is definitely the way to play this tank. As I said, it's the fact that the thing has no heat pen. If the 120 mil had much better heat, maybe 320 mils, 315, just like this gun, I think it would be a lot better, but I really dislike when Wargaming balances the differences between a gun based off of their premium pen. It doesn't make a lot of sense. So, we're playing Mines Hill here. The team wanted support, so I'm like, fine, I'll go up the hill, try and get some support. We get a nice shell into the enemy AMX-30B, and that's 340 damage. Okay, not too bad. A little bit of a low roll, but oof, that's not good. Our Leopard gets cleared. Okay, well, they've got 2 tanks on the hill. We've got 1 tank on the hill. Hopefully that doesn't come back to bite us in the butt. Alright, well, 60 TP makes me drive a little bit out, and we do get ended up bonked by, oof, the 5A for 607. That is an absolutely juicer roll into our vehicle. And the problem is, well, there's 2 BZ-75s, and I'm in a vehicle that literally can't do anything to fight them. I mean, I shoot at the BZ here, but I mean, I have 360 damage a shot. They're going to bonk me beyond belief, and unfortunately that 60 TP causes me to kind of maneuver my tank out there, which allowed the Object 260 to get a shell into my vehicle. We're backing up, and oh man, wow, what a just dookie start to this game. We get bonked by the 5A. We basically get bonked by everybody, and I take one little poke there thinking maybe I can get a shell out, but nah, it's not worth it. You can see just how easy it is to cut through this vehicle's bubbly hull. It's got very little armor, and spamming heat, which is what we can see the enemy's done, 5A shot heat, the 260 shot heat, the BZ-75 shot heat, there's just not much you can do. So fine, I'll load gold, and we're going to start shooting at this Type 5 Heavy. Now this is where the great DPM of this vehicle feels very nice. We've already taken about 900 HP off of that Type 5, or no, not 900, about 700. We're going to take 900 off in a moment, but a little bit more than I could, a little bit excited there, I guess. Alright, well, let's see. Type 5, he's like, maybe poking that wasn't the best play. Oh, darn. I'm going to take another 350 off his vehicle. And the Type 5 doesn't learn, so I'm going to get another 370 off of his tank. The artillery misses me. We're going to reload again. I don't have a med kit, so I can't really fix anything there. But that's fine, because I don't want to get shot by the Type 5 as it is. He's kind of looking at me. I don't have enough health to comfortably want to poke him, so I'm going to wait for him to shoot my teammate, and there you go, another nice shell into his vehicle for 363. We probably just took about maybe 2,000 health off that player, and brought our damage total up to 2,500. So what was a pretty mediocre start has now actually turned into an alright game. But yeah, you can definitely see where this vehicle does well and where it does very poor. It seems like this is more of a second line tank, and it's not really a heavy at that. You're going to drive this more kind of like an AMX-50, where you don't want to be in a position where people can really see you. It has armor, and haul down, this thing actually has pretty troll armor, but it has a big hatch, and its turret isn't very strong. And all people have to do is shoot at the angle bits that connect to the turret. They can cut right through. Now the 4005 on our team, well, not really sure what he's doing here. He's going to probably regret making that play, and yes, he does. I'd love to shoot the VZ, but the 4005 puts himself in the worst possible position, and because of that, we're just not able to hit the VZ. Oh well, I'm not able to see him at all right now. Yeah, this is a pretty passive situation we've got going here. I'm a little worried about the TDs in the back. They also have the Object 260 off to the side. Okay, well, let's aim in on the grill and get a nice 314 clear. I literally just watched the artillery nuke the grill. Part of me is happy, part of me is sad. I was kind of hoping we could permatrack the grill and get a bit of a farm out. But I'm also a little bit happy that we at least don't have to deal with that tank destroyer in the end of this battle. We know that the VZ is somewhere back there. And I'm really hoping that this 121 just pushes up, spots the VZ for me, and we can get some shells out. But as of right now, that's not happening. And I'm just kind of waiting. So we got the 5A. I am not spotted from the 5A somehow. Really thought that he would be able to see the roof of my tank, but I guess he was focused on the 4005 instead. Didn't poke up enough and didn't end up spotting us. There you go. VZ finally gets detected. We get a pretty nice roll of 394 into his vehicle. That's a pretty good start. Okay, well, we're not able to hit the VZ there, but he's going to drive out a bit more. And there you go. Nice shell into his vehicle for 330. Okay, sweet. We're up to 3,500 damage dealt now, and we've assisted 782. And we're going to win this. I mean, it's pretty close on HP, but we control the hill right now, and we still have enough HP that we can do a decent job, I would say. BZ, like, wedges his tank on the rock almost accidentally there, which makes it hard for me to hit him, but we aim on his hatch, we get the clear, 3,700 damage, and sweet, alright. Well, they got the Object 260, they got a 5A, and a UDAS 1516. All very strong tanks. That 5A is also a really big threat because of the fact that it can butter through my armor with its 340 heat, and it obviously is really good DPM, which is something that I'm going to have to keep in mind. So we load standard ammunition. Not sure why, but I did, and we get a nice pen into his vehicle, and in return the 5A bounces me. Okay, that's pretty solid. And I'm already getting ready to load heat again because of the fact that I can't really cut through his frontal armor. Well, there you go. Nice 340 damage shell into his lower plate. We're up to 4,300 damage now. Okay. Well, the thing is if I make a misplay against this 5A, I know he's just going to bonk me. And he could actually beat me if I make the mistake again. So I'm tempted to shoot him in the hatch. But I also know that if I just hold my shell, there's nothing that he can really do. There's no point to risk it when I don't need to. So I'm just going to wait here. I'm going to pull up a little bit more. Come on, let me get the 5A. Tempted to shoot him at the hatch, but I'm not able to hit it right now. Yeah, unfortunate. But we've put ourselves in a pretty good spot where the 5A can't really see our hull, so that's okay. And now I'm going to push out. We're going to aim in our heat on his upper plate, and we're going to finish him off. 4,655 damage. Okay, you know what? That's a pretty solid game. From a very dookie start to playing it conservative, keeping the rest of our health throughout the entirety of the battle, and getting some decent damage out. This is kind of how I think the Yo should be played, is a midline heavy. You should use your teammates, especially the heavily armored ones, as a bit of cannon fodder, and in return you should try to help them out by farming as much as you possibly can. I actually think the Yo is an absolute bop to play. While the second game we have here wasn't as glorious as our 8,200 damage game we played earlier, this is still a pretty solid result, getting a second class and top on the team. I think the M5Yo is a really fun tank to drive. I really like the way it looks, and that reserve track mechanic, while we were not able to use it in any of the gameplay I showcased today, definitely will come in handy when you get tracked, especially if autoloaders are in front of you and you've used your one and only repair kit. So I think this tank is an absolute bop. Let me know what you guys think about the M5Yo in the comments down below, if you agree, if you disagree. I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.